good, everybody? It's your boy 24 Days, aka Anthony, and we got
Angel. You already know who I am.
and we also got a guest on the panel today. Do you want to tell everybody your name?
Hi everyone, I'm Samantha Rodriguez.
And today we're going to be talking about masculine versus feminine roles. So basically the role of a woman and the role of a man. So we're just going to start off with that, and then we're going to dive a little deeper into some subtopics about that. So we'll start with you, Angel. What do you think primarily the role of a woman is versus the role of a man?
Okay, I'm gonna keep it very simple. For a man, I think they should provide, whether that be for their family, their like parents, siblings, stuff like that, and also the family that they create. And also, that's another thing, they should be able to create a family and be protective of the ones they love, and also be willing to fight for those around you. If you don't believe in something, advocate for it. Don't be afraid to stand your ground and to fight for it. For feminine traits is instill good values into your children, take care of your children, but also be a good supporting partner to their husband, and also just be a partner. They don't have to be any less than a man, but just be a good partner. Because no man wants to come home to a woman that's constantly complaining about things or causing life to be more difficult. You want to be a good partner to your husband, just like a husband should be a good partner to their wife. There should be no conflict there, and there should be open communication.
Yeah, so I completely agree with just about every bit of that. So one thing I'd like to add, obviously the role of a man, I also believe, is to protect and provide. Another thing is to be the leader. So there's going to be a lot of tough decisions to make, whether you're in a relationship, a household, or just like with your family by yourself. And I think as a man, you have to be the leader. Not necessarily means you have to make every decision, but I think that you should at least provide like the answer or provide your opinion for every single decision. And I do think at the end, the man should get the final say. So I think you have to be the leader and you have to be responsible. And as a woman, also going based off of what Angel said, you should be like the sunshine. Like you should like bring the happy vibes, the good positive vibes, and that kind of thing. So what do you think, Samantha? The roles of a man versus a woman.
So we're going the roles of man and woman, like femininity and masculinity, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think roles of a man is someone who's confident in themselves, and I think when you're confident in yourself, you portray your strong suits. You're able to be confident that in the roles of a man and a woman, naturally men are strong. You know, I go to the gym and I wish I could bench, like full plates, but I can't, and that's okay. I'm not built like a man, and that's okay. But I think in roles in terms of a woman is not only being confident in who you are, but that also portrays in a different aspect. That could be being the sunshine of the room, but that could also mean being spoken and being just confident in who you are.
Yeah, so I thought we were going to disagree a lot, but I agree with that completely. Another thing I would like to add, I like how you said the thing about the gym, because we had another girl, not on this podcast, but on an old podcast, and she thought that if a woman worked out just as much as a man, that the woman could be a lot stronger, muscular, which just obviously biologically makes no sense. So I agree with those points. And my next point, or the next thing I want to ask is, how do you think the roles of men and women have changed? Because we all know how it used to be. The man takes care of the household, he provides, he protects, and the woman is the woman. She takes care of, she nurtures the children, she takes care of the house. Obviously, things have changed, times have changed. So why do you think they have changed, and do you think that they have become better or worse in the world? We'll start with you, Angel.
So yeah, we already know how it was before. But let's date back, let's say 40 years, so 1980s. There was still relatively the role of women that most people around the world see as fit. And nowadays, women have become more masculine and have accepted the ideology that they don't need a family, they don't need a husband in order to be productive in life. Which I'm not saying that that's the only way to be productive. You can focus on your career, but there's also been many feminists out there, and there's also been many women out there that they're about 60 to 50 years old, and they've come out and said that they regret not being able to come home to a full house. They come home to a house where they live by themselves
With
and they
9
feel
cats.
empty. Yeah, and they say like I got so focused in my career that I didn't see the other aspects of life that were gonna bring me joy, like having a family, like seeing my children grow, like having a husband.
So you also believe that women are happiest when they have a family instead of where they're working their whole lives?
Yeah, I do, because honestly, as a guy, when you're at your peak, when you're at your best, is when you have a goal in mind. If you see all the successful people, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they dedicated about 10 to 15 years of their life just grinding and working, and look how happy they are now as men, and how innovative they are as men in this world. That their technology and their revolutionary ideas are changing the lives of men and women. So I feel like there's certain things that men are more designed to do mentally and physically, just like women are more mentally designed to do other things. And this is not to say that men are better than women or women are better than men. It's just we were each created differently, and men are just are better at things, and women are just better at things. Like, it comes back to the whole thing. Like, if I were to leave, once I were to have kids and I were to leave my kids at a daycare, I'm gonna leave them at a daycare that has more women than men. Because personally, I'm not saying men can't take care of children, but women are naturally mothers and naturally have that stronger connection to children than men do.
For sure. I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think, generally speaking, are women more happier when they're taking care of a family, taking care of a house, or when they're focusing on working their whole lives for a job and making money?
Well, so I disagree on the aspect where Angel brought up the idea that a woman in the future, even though she may have a fulfilled career, she would still like to come back to a family, to see her children, to raise them or whatever. I disagree, only because to say that is to say that in the back of your mind, like let's say now in my years in college, that I'm looking forward to being with a man and having a family. I don't believe my only role in this life is to fulfill that place of being a mother. It is a strong suit of being a mother that is a gift, but it's not one that I need to fulfill. Now that I'm in college, I'm single, but I'm not constantly thinking about the next man that could be the potential father to my kids. Especially in college, I think the way many boys or guys or men act now don't necessarily portray that as a strong suit of being a father in the future. And I think y'all could agree, maybe your views aren't the same about how you view women. But from generally speaking, in college, being a guy is not the best time to see the potential, like your potential partner there. I only say that because of different things that have come up, and
okay, so that's for college, right?
Yeah.
But how about in the future? Do you think you would be happier if you spend your whole entire life, working, just gathering money and like providing for yourself, or than having somebody provide for you? That's the main question.
Well, I don't feel like I need to have someone to provide for me. Up until now, my parents have raised me to be independent, to be able to provide for myself, to have a career for me, also to be able to help them out in the future. They've never put that idea in me, and I thank them for that I need to have a man beside me in the future. So I think that also plays a part into it, that having a family would be nice, that having a partner would be nice, but I don't think that's the end goal.
Okay, so you're saying you have the ability to provide for yourself, so you don't need a man to provide for you.
Yeah,
Which
just
is
as you can provide for yourself in the future.
But the question
we agree
is,
with that.
yeah, we agree with that.
Yeah.
We believe that a lot of women, probably including yourself, can work and provide for themselves. But do you think you would be happier doing that versus somebody providing it for you?
Like,
Which do you think would make you more fulfilled in life, in the future, not right now?
Yeah, like for example, for us, like I could agree, like maybe college is not the great place to find your wife, even for guys. I agree with that, and I do understand where you're coming from, that not a lot of guys are mature or don't have all those aspects that you would like in a husband, which is understandable. But we could easily say too that we could provide for ourselves and we could be happy in our own career. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna feel more fulfilled as a man having my own family and being able to create generations, you know. Like,
so as a man, do you feel like you need to have a partner at your side at the end goal? Like at the end?
Yes.
So, yeah. So do you think you'd be happier, back to the question, providing for yourself or having someone do it for you?
I think for myself, and I've always said this, like even to my mom, dad, like I enjoy working for what I have, in terms of like goals that I've achieved in life, in school. And I've always told my parents, like, if you ever see me drop all the things that I enjoy doing in my career and become a housewife, something is wrong with me. And that's because of now I enjoy working for what I have and being proud to say that I worked for that. But in the future that changes, and I don't know. I wouldn't be content with that. I wouldn't be happy with that.
So there's among feminists and people that oppose femininity, far left femininity, they always argue that there's so much support for women that are working independently, which is not a bad thing. But what about the support for the women that stay home? Because I feel like now in the feminine ideology, in the feminine world, those women are looked down upon, that are okay staying housewives, that are okay taking care of the kids, taking care of the house. And to me, I feel like it's equally important. Like if you want to go out and pursue a career, that's great. Like, you know, all props to you. But if you want to stay home and provide for your family and raise your kids, all props to you, because that's something that's going to stay with your children for generations, and you're bettering those children for a better world. You know, when the world they walk into as adults, they're going to be better individuals.
I agree. I believe that true femininity would be to embrace those who, on one end, prefer to stay alone and pursue what they have alone, but also women who choose to be housewives, and that's completely okay. I do feel like many times this role of being independent is more given approval nowadays, but a wife who decides to stay home and raise her children should also just be as much praised, because that takes a lot of work on its own. You know, in a traditional household where a man goes off to work and the woman stays home and raises the children, a man often doesn't see the struggles that a woman has to go through to raise her children, you know, and that alone takes a strong character to be the doctor to your kids, to be the lawyer for your kids, to defend them, you know. So I think I agree that embracing full femininity is to embrace both ends of the role of a woman.
I don't disagree with any of that part. Obviously, I disagree with the part that women would be happier working, but I'm not a woman, so I guess I can't tell. I'm only basing it off of people's experience that I've heard and statistics that I've seen. But now what I want to go back to is how I think the world have changed. So what I think is a role, how feminine and masculine roles in men and women have changed. I think men are being encouraged more to show their emotions, to allow women to take care of them, and women are encouraged more to be independent workers. And I'm not going to necessarily say I have a problem with that, but what I'm going to say is I think the world would work better if it was not like that and how it used to be. So what's your opinion on that?
I think saying that a man should stay in or should keep their are you saying that man like should go back to not olden ways, but to say like, oh yeah, to like hide their emotions and
I'm saying women would be more attracted and the man would be more respected if he still feels the emotions, but he doesn't show them all to the world. So you feel that men are respected
when they hide their emotions?
Yes, I feel that way, yeah.
Okay, so I completely disagree with that. To say to keep men in this box, to raise them in a box where you have to hide your emotions, and women to be more submissive is to put both of them in a box that's unachievable, and that in the long run brings more damage to both ends. It brings more damage to the man. This is a man podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think what now and what is seen as bad is redefining what it is to be masculine. And there's these talks about toxic masculinity, but there's also healthy masculinity. There's also masculinity, or being a man isn't bad, but to raise a boy from a young age to hide your emotions, what happens when they show their emotions? That doesn't make them any less of a man. And to say that showing your emotions, to not showing your emotions as a man, and then when you show them, what does that say about them?
So if you had a man or a boyfriend and he went crying to you, say something really bad happens to you, and he was just completely crying to you, you had a breakdown, would you not lose any respect for him?
I would not. Showing your emotion and that aspect, being comfortable enough to show your vulnerability, no matter if you're a man, a woman, or however you identify, that is respect. To be able to show your vulnerability, even if you're a king or if you're doesn't matter who you are, who your role is in society. If you're able to cry in front of me, to show that you're vulnerable, to show that human aspect, that is respect to me.
I'm going to start it off here. Can you define to me what is toxic masculinity?
Toxic masculinity?
Yeah.
I would say...
You said part of it. You said, do you think that it's toxic for men to be expected to hide their emotions?
Yeah, but I don't...
So are you saying like there's certain traits that you would consider masculine that are harming men? Like that's how you're saying it? So like the hiding of emotions, you're saying would damage a man?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, this is how I see it. I don't believe that there's any toxic masculine traits. I feel like all the traits that people like to put into that category that are toxic, there's a certain way to do it, because all the men in my life, they were emotional beings. They had feelings. Men are not robots.
Right.
But when in this society, they're okaying that you complain about everything as a man, which in my life I rarely saw that. My dad, my grandparent, my grandpa, he'd just tough it out and be like, you know what, I don't like the way things are right now, but I'm gonna work towards a better goal. And he's like, and there's many times that like you can see, like there's been many times that I've seen in my dad that he feels destroyed inside, that he just like he's reached a point where he's just tired.
Yeah.
But he never shows that to the family, because what that brings is like a man is supposed to be the pillar of your family. For example, my grandpa was the pillar of the family. If there was any problem, they always came to him, and he was more than welcome to help the family. So when you start being too emotional in a family, you start losing that pillar, because then now it's like who do we lean on? And as a man, it's fulfilling and prideful to be able to be that pillar for your family, for your wife, for your kids. So I feel like you lose that when you become too emotional.
You know how we said men are supposed to be leaders? It's like being stuck in a maze and having a tour guide. What do you do if you were lost in a maze, you had a tour guide, and the tour guide has a breakdown and says he lost everything, he forgot where to go, and you guys were stuck? Would you rather him do that, or him tough it out and still try his best to find out where you're going, and then maybe in the end he might find it, he might not? What would you rather that tour guide do?
Well, I would say for there to be a leader, right, to make the decisions. And I think making those comparisons, I think we should bring it to like actual life instead of comparing it to a maze. In real life, it's okay
but
to
it's
have
very
breaking
similar.
points. Yeah, but in life, as a man or as a woman, you're going to have breaking points. So you're saying that man should hide their emotions and toughen it out, right? That's what
For
you're
certain
saying?
things.
For certain things,
There's certain things that you shouldn't be, not even to your wife, but just in general, you shouldn't tell anybody, because there's certain things that are battles between yourself, or sometimes between yourself and God. Sometimes God is the only person you need to tell, and sometimes those things just need to stay between you two. It's not something that needs to be explained to somebody else.
Yeah, so if
or
you
dealt
say
with
like you're
somebody
feeling a lot of
else.
stress, you want to pass that on to somebody else,
Yeah.
when you know even if it's hard that you can possibly take care of it yourself.
Because when I talk to other people about problems, like I did in the past, I felt bad about it after. So I'd rather keep it to myself and deal with it on my own.
I think that also takes some internal healing. I think if you open up to the right people, or if your own person or the only being you feel you should open up to is God, then that is your way of healing. I think opening up to the right people you shouldn't have to feel like a burden onto them, because you're not. Your emotions are just as valid as a woman. And opening up to the right people, the right person will not make you feel like you're a burden. The right person will be by your side, whether that is your partner, whether your strong suit and that is God. You will not feel like a burden, and you shouldn't feel like a burden. And in saying that and opening up, you feel like a burden yourself, and I think that takes some healing. That shows that there needs to be some healing within you. I remember I used to feel like when I would open up to people, I was a burden, this and that. But then I realized that it was through past experiences that it made me think that, oh, I'm going to be a burden to this person, or I don't want to pass that stress on to someone else. But I don't believe that's the way things are.
I respect your caring as, like, maybe it's something deeper than just hiding your emotions. But me personally, I feel fine and I'm confident in who I am and my past experiences. It just it was a change of a mindset that I saw as opening myself up to people was a way of complaining, and I reached a point where I took a step back and I'm just complaining. I'm not getting anything done. Instead, I now step back and resolve the problem. I look like, what's the problem? What can I do to better that problem? Because a lot of the times, things that you don't like in your life, it's your fault. You can't be like, it's this so-and-so's person. You can't play the victim. You have to reflect and be like, you know what? I messed up. Let me see what I could do better to better that. Because complaining doesn't get you anywhere. Problem solving does.
And most of the time, even if you tell somebody, they're not going to help you, chances are. They're not going to actually do something to solve it.
Actually,
I agree. I mean, if all you do is complain and there's nothing there's no action that comes with it, and nothing's going to get done, nothing's going to get resolved. What I'm trying to say is that opening up to someone is not necessarily how your problems are going to get fixed, but it's also a way to help you emotionally. It's not saying that opening up to someone okay, next second, okay, things are resolved. No, you still have to take action for yourself. You still have to, if I want to start squatting 2 plates instead of 1, it's not going to be like, oh, I'm not just going to talk to you and be like, man, I wish I could squat 2 plates or this and that, right? You're going to be like, okay, well, why are you complaining? Go up, go to gym and start working for it, right? Yeah, but opening up to it, I could do it in a complaining way, right? If I tell you constantly, you're going to get tired of it, right? You're going to be like, okay.
But isn't it that much easier to just, you have to do it yourself and just do it? Instead of, what's the point of telling me I have to hit 2 plates?
Right, because people are different though. Some people are more reserved, some people are more open. Some people prefer to talk about their problems, and that helps them get through it.
Yeah, but when they talk about it and it helps them get through it, it's because that other person is aiding them with advice or possibly giving them a different perspective of the situation.
No, I think for girls, for girls, telling people your problems, even if they don't help you, will make you feel better. I think as a man,
I don't feel any better.
Yeah.
I feel the same.
I think that's a great way to end it there. So let's move on to the next thing. We'll go super quickly on this one. How do you think the roles of a man and a woman, you spent a lot of time on that last part, how do you think they will change in the future? We'll start with you, Samantha.
How they'll change in the future?
So they've already changed a lot from the past. Do you think they're going to continue to change or stay the same?
I think we're going to start seeing more, probably the roles switched in a way of a traditional household, where the man is the provider, goes off to work, and the woman stays home and takes care of the kids or whatever. And it's changed until now. Not completely changed. It's not common to see the roles reversed where the woman goes off to work and the man stays home, right? But I think as the future goes, I think maybe we'll start to see that more. I'm not too sure.
Do you think it's going to go back to the traditional values?
No, I'm saying like
the opposite.
yeah, like I feel like that's a possibility where it's going to be more common. I remember in high school, my history teacher did like a quick poll, like, oh yeah, which one of you, the dad goes off to work and the mom stays home, and so many hands were raised, and then there was the opposite, and it was like only one person that raised their hand, right? But I think in the future, I feel like there's going to be more hands raised for that. Yeah.
Do you think that's good?
Yeah, you think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good
for the world
projection
as a whole.
I would say.
See, in terms of like, are people going to be happier? And in terms of, are families going to be like more productive in the world? Are they going to get more things done?
I would say they'll be happy, That's what makes their household run. I don't know about happier. That's not something I can answer.
Do you think they'll get more things done like that?
Do you think like
if more women work
flipping
and
the
then more
family
men
dynamic,
stay?
do you think it, like just in general terms, do you think it'd work better than the traditional dynamic?
Do you think the country would get farther? How do you think like the world will look at the United States? Do you think they'll be like, wow, like they're doing a great thing? Or do you feel like they're just losing themselves as a country and they're gonna go down?
I think it would be more to see it. Are we talking about these roles reversed like in a household or in government?
Well, I guess
household.
you can say both, but mainly
But
household.
yeah, if it was that's I think that those connect because if the roles are flipped in the household,
They're probably just
then by chance or
so like if we had a female
numbers,
president,
there's gonna be more females
and
in
then,
government and industrial activities than there is men.
if we had a female president and then let's say 75% of household, the man would stay at home and then the woman would work, like you said, reversed. Do you think the country would get farther?
I think it would continue. I think it would strive, because for so long we've only had mostly men in office, and I would love to see it for more women to be in office. As someone who's pursuing a career in politics, and I've done different internships and stuff, being a woman in that room is so intimidating. You're definitely looked down upon, and I have the same capabilities that ex-partner does, but because I'm a woman in that room, I often don't get the same voice, and that's okay. That's why I'm pursuing this career, so that in the future I don't have to make anybody feel like that. So I do believe that I would love to see a world where there is more women in office, where more women are taking that leadership role in the household. To say that they would be happier, that they would be more productive, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Productive. I think it could be just as productive, if not more. Yeah.
So I completely agree with what you're saying about how in the future it will be reversed, and it'll be more like more men are going to stay at home and a lot more women are going to work. But I already said on how I don't think people are going to be happy like that, because I think as a man you have like a natural instinct to want to provide. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would hate to be a stay-at-home guy.
Yeah, I think naturally, like biologically, when you're born as a man, you want to go out and work and do things. So I don't think they'll be happy, and I do think the world would kind of like slow down economically. But I want to ask you a question: do you think the world would be better, worse, or the same if most people in the government, including the president, was a female?
Well,
so my thing on that is I think females are good at a lot of things that men aren't, but I don't think leadership and running a country is one of them.
so
What do
you
think
believe
about
like
that?
the presidency role would only belong to a man?
I think a man would do a better job as a president.
I would agree. Like I don't think they can do it, but if you look at it statistically, men tend to be more tough and stubborn as to their ideologies, and women are more easily swayed. It's just this is statistically proven. I don't have the numbers on me right now, but I could find the sources for you. And it's just because being in a political position like that, it's a lot of emotional turmoil. And again, it just goes back to the way we were biologically structured. Women tend to be more emotional than men are. So men are going to be able to withstand all that stress, all that pressure better than a woman can.
So I think women are capable.
Yes.
But I think if you're taking a random man out of the entire population, random man from the country, random woman, I think generally speaking, the man would be naturally better at doing that. What do you think?
I disagree. I mean, I think also, lost my train of thought, but you mentioned something about, damn, I lost my train of thought. But I think I would say, like, just in the way that I wasn't necessarily raised like that, only the man provides and the woman stays home and work, because in my household, both of my parents work. And like I said, I was raised to be independent and to not need a man by my side. If there is a man who is my partner, then that will be, but it's not, I won't necessarily be happier that way. And in office, in terms of leadership, I think it's kind of funny to say that only belongs to a man, quite honestly.
And I never said it only belongs to men. I think a woman could still run.
But you did say that if a man would run it better.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
For sure.
Looking at history, I would love to see how men have done it better. I mean, compared to other countries, I think in America, it's mostly men are in office, and oftentimes when it comes to, let's say, immigration policies, people fighting for that aren't even immigrants themselves. They don't have close family around them, and they often speak for them. And it's like, I'm glad you've given me on this platform a place to speak and say my opinion, but I strongly disagree that only a man could do it better than a woman, because ultimately that is what you're saying. Right?
That is what I'm saying. But
yeah.
do you know one country or like one empire, an example where a woman has led it and they've thrived? You don't have to say anything if you don't know. We're gonna do the research later. But can you think of one?
New Zealand.
They have a woman as a president?
They do.
How long have she been in office?
A couple years. Yeah.
Okay, but you see that's understandable too, but I don't like the comparison that like, well, let's look back in history and see how men have done it better. It's kind of difficult to say as to, because yes, there's never been a woman in office, but also we can't say like, obviously yes, there's blanket statements that like, oh, if all women were in office, there would be no wars, or there would be no immigration laws. Like you see, like your point on immigration laws, like when it comes to immigration, my grandparents were immigrants, so I understand the fear and the struggle behind it, because my grandparents worked hard to gain their citizenship, right? But there's also a lot of political and governmental policy that goes into it as to why we have to close our borders off. And it makes sense, but also you can't make blanket statements. So it's like, I don't know, like we're going based off of what we've seen in history. We've seen many great empires be ran by men, and we've seen how they've thrived and how large they've gotten. Look how far the United States has gotten as a country. We've been around for around 200 years, and it's been on the back of working men.
Do you have anything to add?
I think what I said.
Okay. I think we're gonna end it there, guys. Please let us know what you think. Let us know who you agree with, who you disagree with, any points that you want to make in the comments, any questions that you have.
Or anything you want us to elaborate on that you don't think we've discussed in full.
And before we end, is there anything you want to like plug or shout out?
Yeah, anything?
No.
No? Okay.
All right, we'll end it there. I think this one's going to be coming out on Friday. So you guys have a good night.
Good night.
We'll see you.